Hello and welcome to a continuation of some footage from Black Friday of 2018. I'm going to take the elevator to the top, the pink floor, number 10. So here we go. A nice view of the Greektown Casino. Okay. We're going to check the view out here. There's the Detroit River, so it's starting out good. Buffalo Wild Wings. It's also the Temple of the Oddfellows. Interesting. Here's looking up Gratiot. Yeah, this was a Friday afternoon. I wasn't shopping. Lord knows I wouldn't be caught dead doing that. Actually, sometimes by necessity I have to, but I'm exploring here. Actually, earlier in the day, I checked out Friday morning football, excuse me. Look at the big hole in the ground. We'll get another look here. They have security cameras. This is the Hudson site. It was a parking garage for a little bit. And so they tore that all out. And they'll put in the foundation and we'll have a skyscraper. Here's the downtown library. The wealth of the mind is the only true wealth. All right. Who wants to argue that point? The people mover in action. The Stott Tower. There's Avalon, and they've expanded very nicely. So they have a Main Street location right there on Woodward. Now the Z Garage here, they have some. It's a garage with a lot of artwork. So I started at the top, a nice viewing platform. Now I worked my way down to level 8, and just murals one right after the other. So it depends where you want to park. You can, if you like a certain mural. And then the alley here, a lot of artwork there, and people take pictures and stuff. Go figure. So yeah, no two parking decks seem to be alike. That seems to be so true. But this one with all the artwork, it makes it even specialer, if we can go that way. Ooh, the broken window theory. Well, this building doesn't look like it's inhabited right now, but hopefully plans. This is the Harvard Square Center. Haha. Yeah, we need some work on this particular block here. And urban planning can be done block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, building by building. But this one, yeah, looks like some modern furniture in there, so that one might have a go. There's a lot of interesting things happening in the city right now. It used to be if you blinked, you didn't miss anything, but now if you blink, wow, that's a new business. That building's been repurposed. Whew. Look, they're even working. Not everybody had the day off. This was nice. A paid holiday for myself, so I enjoy those when they come up. If you have an electric vehicle, you can charge over here. First 3 hours are free. Now that's not a bad deal. Electricity is not cheap, so I don't know how they pull this one off. But okay, made it down to ground level here. And here's the front of the downtown library. And I like this one here also. The Fountain of Wisdom flows through, if you guess, books. Yes, you nailed it. Yeah, another expression you can't really argue with. Here we have a tower, and they're getting ready for the Hudson site. That's always a good sign when you see those towers. That means the city is building. And it's been a while since we've had like a major project. This certainly counts. as does the new Gordie Howe International Bridge, which is a work in progress also. Wow, if it looks like this will be stunning. And here's our attempt at mass transportation, the Q line. We just need to keep extending.
And I am an unofficial ambassador for Detroit. I love the city. There's so many wonderful things to do and so many wonderful people to meet. It's just a really great time, and you need to be here.
Well, yes, indeed. You certainly do. And what's nice is there is some hustle and bustle on the streets, and that's welcoming. The people that do the Salvation Army bell ringing, that's a good thing that they do. Now the skating rink. And the Christmas tree. And people take pictures here. This was a good photo op. Winter in Detroit. And Etzel. Well, they had a little shopping thing here, like a mini store thing. And then a lodge. Oh, for heaven's sakes, be careful. That looks dangerous, that stuff that they're doing that game. Someone could get hurt. No. But it was warm in here, and then it was warm outside. They even had the marshmallow thing going. GT for Grand Trunk. This might be worthy of checking out. They have a lot of stickers on the bar doors. DET.com. I like that one. I like that website. But DET, I like the abbreviation for Detroit also. Michigan Central Station. There was some hustle and bustle in the bar. Woodward, Main Street, Detroit. In the Guardian building. Okay, London Chop House. I just decided I'd take a peek inside. Brett Lucas' Entertainment. Yeah, it looks like a lower level, but they weren't open at this time. They have a cigar shop. And I would have had a drink, but no one was serving at the time. But so I took a little look-see around, and it's the old is coming back a little bit. I like that. Detroit has layers of history, and it's good to see that we just don't throw it all away. We can, some of this stuff can reappear. So. Yeah, it's exciting times now in the city, I tell you. Kind of the Picasso cubism going on with the Cobo Center. Then I'm heading back to MGM Grand parking garage. But I'm going to look at the map here. Beacon Park, the newest addition on the park scene in Detroit, and they do quite well. Michigan was beating Chattanooga. And across the street, they have Channel 4. Then they have a nice substation. I like a very cute building here. Has some detail, kind of functional in a block form there, but all right, MGM Grand, Hotel, DTE, Energy. So we're getting ready for the holidays here. Motor City Casino, the golden top of the Fisher Building. Yeah, it was fun exploring on this particular day, and I got in some Friday morning football. saw the Division 8 championship, det.com. That's the website. All right, begin the descent and onward to home. Okay, and it was great the way they have the high school football playoffs set up. There's 4 games on Friday and 4 games on Saturday. And so Fox does a great job of televising those games. All right, but the day was not done, or the night here is just beginning, and we're going to check out downtown Plymouth. Family had organized a dinner at Campari's, and so right across from the restaurant they have this nice park. It's a festival of trees and lots of families, and even Santa Claus, which was the highlight.
The weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And
I must have missed the presentation or whatnot, but they have a nice theater here. All seats $3. Well, that's a good deal. The line was wrapped around the building. And Frosty the Snowman. And then right around here, I mess up. Okay, I'm going to have to fast forward. I goofed, so we're going to, time to go get a beer. Allow me. This happens every now and then when I'm video. Oops. Let me just back it up. Okay. Sorry about that. But if you got a beer in hand now, all is well. Okay, this is the restaurant we went to, Food, Fun, and Friends. And looking over, haven't gotten to what I ordered yet.
You'd be proud of us.
Well, it was the chicken parmesan. Yeah, there we go. I had a choice between veal or chicken. I went with the chicken. We had some appetizers. It was all good. Here's our main courses. My sister had pizza. There was a party, I think 13 of us. And the waitress was kind enough to take a picture of all of us. Here's inside the restaurant. The lighting, that's important to have good lighting. And a wine rack kind of a thing. Then we went shopping a little bit while we were there. Downtown Plymouth is kind of nice. It has that quaint downtown. So there was a chocolate shop, and some of us in the party had a sweet tooth. So I know. After a big meal, just to go and look for more calories, but it is what it is. They even let me film behind the counter. Wow. Then for the four-legged friends, they have cupcakes here. This was the Cupcake Factory. I ended up getting one with the cherry pie. There's the cherry on top. There's Santa Claus. Oh, yeah. Merry Christmas. Whew. Yeah, it was in the red light district. So I know where he's at. Here's my sister. We're taking, and Mona. Trees were kind of like different companies, and they did their own design feature and how they wanted to do it. Red light district here. But yeah, that's kind of nice. You can see the creativity of different groups, the different styling. This one, the fire department. Kellogg Park. Neat little, it's like triangular shaped park. And very walkable city. And they have a nice grill here. I like the lighting there. Chamber of Commerce. So I'm sure they do a lot of that urban planning type stuff too. Every city needs to be on top of their game. Here, Bohemian Home. I probably could shop here. I consider myself a little bit like a bohemian. And then Three Dog Bakery over here. So they make those doggy treats. Okay. Now the second portion of the show, we're going to go from Black Friday to a Detroit Transit event. Transportation Riders United is the name of the group, and they host all these great meetings on the future of mobility. And they're a big advocate for buses, mass transit, bikes, any number of things to get you around. Here, the Children's Museum, it's been relocated. It used to be across or near the Detroit Institute of Arts. But it's right here next to the fire station. A Dalmatian protects the fire department. This one, 1922. Then a fountain here. I don't know if they got to cut it off in the dead of winter, but the fish are kind of like all huddled there. I don't know what happens when it freezes over. All right, well, I made it here to the meeting. The location is the garage, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Okay, here's the flyer or the poster. I like the design here, but this is Wednesday, November 28th, and we're talking about mobility. So we sign in, and it's TechTown Detroit. That's .org is another good site. Well, if you kind of pay a minimal entry fee, it allows you to nibble on some food. So a good crowd here. And these are other events. Beer and popcorn, that's on Friday. Should have made it back for that one. But they have workstations here. This was it's kind of neat. It's an entrepreneurial type space where people kind of connect or try to make those connections of like minds, kind of a thing. Here we go. Tech neighborhoods, we mean business. Okay, TechTown, you got a speed read here. I'm going to take a deep breath. In a nutshell, that says pretty much what they're doing. Okay, they have an incubation center. All right. And any number of things. So if you're a small business person and you want to make a scene in Detroit, you probably do yourself well to see what's available out this way. Let people know what you're up to and what you're all about. And they even have a tiny tech town. How about that? And they have a lot of people that support that, and that's good business practice for the city to have the entrepreneurial aspect and to promote that kind of growth, the organic thing. Here, speed read again, but they say one word, but people kind of put a phrase in here. They added. So we'll take a look at some of these posters. Oprah Winfrey, they're already quoting her. That's pretty good. Find the cure of cancer. That's pretty good. I like one coming up here. Unite the world. That's good. Oh, maybe I missed it. There was one there that said breathe. That's what sometimes you got to do. Breathe in. Breathe out. But no camping inside that one. I don't know if someone there has a sense of humor or not. They have post office boxes. They name these rooms all different. It must be, it's not actually a wind tunnel, and that's not actually a collision shop, but that's the way they name their meeting rooms. Okay, so we're going to get close here to the start of the meeting, but these are some good aspects of what mass transportation or good mobility can mean to a city. And it's a huge part of urban planning. Huge. That's why I like to make it to these meetings, because I like to, you see all vibrant cities, and even close ones like Chicago and Toronto, even Cleveland, and they have good mass transit, and we need to get there. So this is hugely important, as Donald would say. I like the furniture, and you can get here by bike also. Here's a look at the directory of the different companies and so forth that have office space here. I was kind of getting the lay of the land, but this is the kind of stuff where we can have a little diverse. Knight Foundation, they're all about the arts too, but we need to diversify a little bit. It's nice that I like to say the motor capital of the world, but we need to have other businesses too. Diversify. Here, I must be coming up on this breathe thing here. Where breathe, there it is. Breathe in. Breathe out. I think that's great advice, and that person nailed it. They said one word, and there you go, breathe. And that's great advice, because when you do breathe in and breathe out deeply, you kind of feel better. So, and then you can repeat as necessary. Definitely do that. Here's Megan. She's doing well too.
How can we get more and better public transit throughout the greater Detroit area? We look at that to a thriving region, and yet for far too long in this region, we've been an extremely auto-centric region. One might even say auto-obsessed at times. And so that's really one of the reasons we focus so much. Because cars don't serve everyone and don't serve all needs, we focus very hard on how to improve transit. But really, when it comes down to it, TRU's underlying goal is less about public transit itself and more about the idea that everyone should be able to get to the places that they need and want to go in a way that is affordable and a way that is sustainable. So this idea of universal access in many ways is more of the underlying vision of what we want to see. For a long time, transit was the best way to help ensure that affordable, sustainable access that worked for everyone. But recently we've started asking, is it still the best way? It's still a critically important way to ensure affordable access, universal access for everyone. But is it necessarily the only way or the best way? And so that's why we as transit advocates are really exploring this issue of new mobility. And just have everybody have a subsidized Uber. Now most of us in this room know that that's not realistic, but it caused enough of a question that made us want to explore, where does new mobility fit in? How do we make sure that everyone does have access? So we as a community need to better understand. Heck, the TRU board, we recognize we need to better understand, hurt by some of these new technologies as they come in. Now, in a moment, I've got a great local mobility expert to tell you more about some of the definitions and examples of what's happening, but I want to take a moment while I'm up here to thank a number of people. I want to expand our buses, to develop great new rapid transit, and to incorporate these new mobilities, because they're not going to happen free, and so we need that investment. So I guess the best thing I can do for you is to get out of the way and get on with the panel. So let me introduce someone who not only serves on TRU's board of directors, we are thrilled to have her, and just finished a Venture for America Fellowship, but also works as the...
So before we dive into this amazing panel that we have planned, we wanted to level set on how TRU is defining new mobility. So what is new mobility to Transportation Riders United? As we know, technology is changing the way that people are getting around. And new mobility is the term that True is using to encompass this general trend in shifting technologies for transportation. And oftentimes, new mobility features one of the following three characteristics. So it could feature shared use, which means that more than one person is able to use it either at a time or in a day. It could also feature access on demand. So that means, with the push of a button, a transportation device is able to come and get you. Or it could be connected, which means that these technologies are able to share information. And some people use the term new mobility just to refer to autonomous vehicles. However, Transportation Riders United believes that autonomous vehicles are just one part of the general new mobility trend. And others also encompass the movement of goods and information in new mobility. However, True is focused on just the movement of people. So quickly, we have some visual aids on the screens up here to help explain what new mobility is. Ride-hailing, such as Uber and Lyft, we consider. And this is on-demand and connected, as well as times shared. We also have Maven, and Zipcar, which are shared vehicles. Then we have Mogo, which is our bike share service in Detroit, and we'll be hearing from Lisa in just a few minutes. Chariot, which is brand new to Detroit, it's a Ford-owned commuter shuttle service. Again, a shared use right there. May Mobility, which is autonomous, electric, connected, and shared. And those are autonomous vehicles that are currently used for Bedrock and Quicken Loans family of companies team members. You may have seen these lying around. Unfortunately, these scooters are outside of a Bedrock property, so we actually have to clean those up on a daily basis. But these are also, electric and connected. You can reserve them using your phone, and you also need a credit card to do that. And so this is our central question for this evening, is can new mobility complement transit to unlock universal affordable access? And so with that, I wanted to go ahead and introduce our esteemed panel. We have Gary Bullock here, who is the Deputy Director of the City of Detroit's Office of...
Each of them has really interesting things to say about this topic and about where we are in Detroit with this topic right now. But I want to start with a story. And it's a story that just came to mind this weekend because my mother was here for Thanksgiving. My mother is 76 years old, but she grew up here in Detroit as a teenager. Her family moved here in 1957 from Cincinnati. She was a sophomore in high school. She goes to Cass Tech. She goes on to Wheaton. And what I was struck by was how many of those things have to do with transit or mobility. Trying to explain to her the function of the light rail, which was under construction the last time she visited, but wasn't running yet. And I was trying to explain to her where it goes, where it doesn't go, how many people are riding it, how many people are not riding it, and things like that. And she was thinking back to streetcars, which I think left before her family moved here, or were on the way out. But her frame of reference was, oh, that's kind of like that. And I was trying to explain the scooters that we saw, and not just in downtown Detroit, but in the Livernois 6 Mile area where I live now. They're there too, right? They're on the street corners, and people are riding around. My kids sometimes ride them. I was trying to explain to her the concept of picking up a scooter and riding it short distance to where you want to get, and then just leaving it there. She didn't understand, of course, why scooters were sort of littering, I guess, by each of you giving us an assessment of where we are, where you see all these different pictures, all these different pieces fitting into the picture. I didn't even get to Uber and Lyft, which she knows about from where she lives, but of course that's part of the picture here as well. So, Elliot, I'll start with you. Let's just
Left. I moved to Southern California for about a decade, and then I came back almost 3 years ago. And even in that 3-year period, which has changed, even in the last 6 months. So I think something that the pace at which things are, the pace is something that I feel is stunning me, and I live this every day. And I think things are becoming more connected. I even looking at how Lyft is thinking about things. If you open up the Lyft app in Chicago today, one of the first options that's presented to you is actually transit, not the nearest Lyft. And it tells you, is it better just to take the L or to take a Lyft or both? And as I go from city to city, I hear a lot of cities thinking along the same lines that, how can we be a uniter of these different services? I think private companies are having.
Is this one on now? Sorry. We're going to have to go through this for every single one of us. If not, I can also just speak loudly too. Like very close. Speak very close to your mouth. Yeah, like a rowdy. It's pretty close to my mouth. Like I'm all over the mic, but I'm going to do my best. I was just thinking, it's been over 6 years since we started our very first conversation about launching bike share in Detroit. This was 2012. And at that time, people were like, bikes in Detroit? I mean, but even 3 years ago, people were still like, can this really work? And now today, we've got bikes and scooters, and if you would have mentioned that to people even 3 years ago, they would have looked at you like you were crazy. And so I think that what we see now is that we're being more intentional, thinking about how we need to get where we need to go, and is a car always the best solution? So I think that we've defaulted to that for so long that a lot of these things feel like they're new, but like bikes are not new. Bikes are one of the oldest form of transportation. The model that we're using is a bit new for folks, right? So really thinking about bikes as transit, sharing them, using a variety of technology options to access them. But really the transportation type itself has been around for a long time. And so I think it's a greater consciousness of thinking about where we need to go, what's the best way to get there. Does it always need to be an ownership model? Because we know that, particularly as we get around questions around equity here in the city of Detroit, owning a car is prohibitively expensive, whether through the cost of the car itself or car insurance. Is there a more affordable way? And so I think that you see now an increased consciousness, and I think an increased commitment to making sure that there are equitable solutions in some of the options that we see today.
Hello. That's my very white voice. So I'll use an example for a non-cooker, and I like anything that has like 7 or 8 ingredients. So pastas with a lot of different flavors, or paella, or some kind of casserole where you just dump things into. And I feel like we are at the point of where we have all these pieces and now we're baking them and we're trying to make sure it's just golden brown. And I always give credit until Lisa stops me. That to me, Lisa really kicked off the revolution with the sheer force of making Moto happen in Detroit. To how the rest of the world is changing. And so we're credited with being out there at the forefront, but I think I really, Lisa just really said, we're going to do this and you're going to come along. And I joined the mobility team 2 years ago because we didn't win Smart Cities. And so it really dawned on our director of roads, our director of parking, our planning director that somebody needs to think about how to make this casserole. And it doesn't sit neatly in one of their kitchens. And so my boss and our team of 4 or 5 are constantly thinking about it. And so the theme is now Detroit is open for business for new mobility. And where before, some of you may have had an experience that you had a meeting that was
by definition, each of these new mobility options is disruptive, right? Disruptive to what we're used to, disruptive to the expectations that we might have, and it can be physically disruptive as well. But the city is supposed to make sure that it's not disruptive, right? That these things don't set us off in negative directions or make it harder for people, God forbid, to get around. Can you talk a little about how you manage that tension in your job?
When I get that, like has to be something that supports the car. And I think as you look at how Ford now calls themselves a mobility company, how GM, how other companies are saying, okay, we're not just in the business about selling cars, we're about the business of providing access, improving access. And so when we did bike lanes, so if you live maybe on the far east side and you took Jefferson, you were in arms because you couldn't do 45 down Jefferson. But guess what? When you get to the border of Detroit and Grosse Pointe, you can't do 45 there. And so the question then becomes, as we develop our city and want to make it, one, aesthetically pleasing, when we look at how we develop, how we use space, we have to be more intentional. We need to slow the speeds down. We are working on development projects that we want people to see before you get to your final destination. Where if you're doing 45 and you need to stop at the CVS, you're not likely to try to cut over 3 lanes, get to the CVS, get back and go. You're going to wait till you get into the next community, which has travels throughout the city.
So I'll ask this somewhat delicately. Has there been anything that happened that you felt like you couldn't handle? Was there anything that was so disruptive that you thought, uh-oh, we really didn't prepare for
Saw it as a shifting in priorities. People saw it as kind of almost a unthought out process. And I think one of the things we were trying is to let the free market happen to a degree. And so the mayor kind of instructed us, government is regulation. And so we really took a path of let's provide guidance, let's try to be a partner up front.
for people who've been here for a long time, right? These are not for native Detroiters. These are not for people like my mother. These are not for people like me who've been here most of their lives and sort of struggled through the bad times with,
We were just in the planning stages of this, and so we wanted to be very clear from the onset that yes, we could have brought something into Detroit, dropped it down on the street, and been like, here's a shiny new toy, you're welcome, Detroit. That's certainly one approach. We wanted to take a more intentional.
You went right there.
For several years.
What's that? No, I'm just saying this long before scooters. It just so happens that there is a shiny new toy on the street now. But no, we were very intentional. That does not say anything against scooters. I think more mobility options are a good thing. But what we really wanted to focus on is like there wasn't anything before us in terms of these new mobility options. I mean, we had rideshare, but that's a little bit different than what we were doing. And so we wanted to be really intentional. And we did that by first starting out in conversations with the community. So we knew that people could interpret this in a certain way and want to say, look, we understand that this is what some people view bike-share as, but here's also what it can be used for. Do you know it can help connect you to the public transit that you're already using? Do you know it can be incredibly reliable? Do you know we can create an affordable pass option? And start those conversations with people and say, what are the transportation needs that you have in your community? Bike-share is not going to meet every single one of those needs, but with a thoughtful design, we can actually think about how it can solve some of those challenges. And so we did that right from the onset, ask people where they wanted to see stations in their communities, use that as one of the layers of feedback around where the stations actually ended up being sited. Also heard from folks that they want different bike options, so not everybody can ride a standard 2-wheel step-through frame. I mean, maybe Stephen, that's something that your mom would necessarily be comfortable with, and so that's why earlier this year we added 13 adaptive cycles to our fleet. So hand cycles, tricycles, recumbent bikes, tandem bikes, side-by-side tandem. So really, anybody who wants to be able to get on a cycle has the ability to do that. And so we used a lot of that feedback in how we created the system. And then we also heard from folks, it's got to be affordable, it's got to be accessible. We have a station-based model, so we are limited to the geography that we currently cover. And I'll say a little bit more about that in a minute. But around the affordability option, we wanted to follow what other cities have done, which is offering a low-cost pass option for people who don't would necessarily be able to afford the full cost of an annual pass. And so we offer a $5 annual access pass. So for $5, if you receive state benefits, you qualify for this pass, you have access to MoGo for an entire year. I defy people to come up with a more affordable transportation option than $5 a year.
That sounded pretty good.
You can buy your pass with cash. So you can buy a $5 annual access pass with cash, ride the service throughout the year, and that's an option for you. And again, it's not going to serve every transportation need, but it can fill important gaps that exist in our transportation system. And then lastly, I will say around the geography that we cover, we we've heard, obviously we're in greater downtown right now. We wanted to start out where there was a density of people and activities and places, but also recognizing that we want to bring the service out into additional communities. So that's why we're very excited to be expanding our service in the spring. We're going to be going to several neighborhoods, actually everything, and we understand the value of making that service available to more people, and look forward to opportunities to continue to expand the service to other areas around the city.
What are you learning about the people who use Movo?
In terms of Bell Center, hospital, we have grocery stores in our top destinations, and it is just a reflection of how people get around. That is how people are using rideshare. So it's really been encouraging to see that develop over the year. We do an economic study every year as well. 1/3 of Lyft rides start in a low-income neighborhood throughout Metro Detroit. So again, just changing some of the perceptions around how people are using rideshare.
And as Megan pointed out earlier, Lyft and Uber sort of got caught up in the narrative about the greater need for transit, better transit here in Southwest Michigan. Some people say
I would love it to be more than 5 because it shortens the distance. It makes it more affordable, right? The whole question about how do we make this ecosystem more accessible. When these things work together, you have greater accessibility. So I fully, with myself and fully with Campa, these things work better together.
And just add on to it.
Economic need in a region like Detroit, and you have all the challenges of habitual underfunding and political rhetoric that doesn't support the growth of the system. And so one of the things we try to do with
Whitney is very interesting.
Okay, it says you can help yourself. Well, wowee, I could have had at it. These are the garage doors, but it's a nice meeting room. Bay 1, they call it. But the meeting continues on. We'll check back in. The audio is not the best. I had trouble picking up the audio, so you might have to turn the volume up on your TV.
Where the transit leads from, so you look at cities like Washington, D.C., where they have capital bike share. They have some of the highest bike share rider rates in the country. And that's precisely because so many people use transit there. So I actually think that there is a correlation between successful transit systems and services like ride share and bike share. So I think that it could only be a good thing for everyone in this country. Creating a level playing field and creating policies and regulations that ensure safety and sort of essential elements that the government is responsible for its citizens. But that also doesn't necessarily negate the responsibility of whether you're a nonprofit, a private company, et cetera. I mean, we should all be playing a role. And so, we look at in our small corner of the world, like we're hoping to influence not only other bike share operators in the way that we run our service, but we hope to influence others. And we hope to have.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for being here. This is actually perfect. We have a research paper on exactly what you guys are talking about. Between like your own services that you present and just coexisting between those services. But I was wondering if you think that the auto industry can coexist with the services you guys are providing, just like Ford, GM, things like that, because there's a lot of like taboo because of the auto industry against whether it's public transit like buses or services that you guys are providing, with scooters and bikes and things like bike sharing. So do you think the auto industry can coexist with your services and with, government services?
Financial coexistence there. For at least a year, we were working with Maven to provide vehicles to drivers to rent.
Connection for their employees to downtown and to areas throughout Corktown and Southwest Detroit. So it's obviously very small scale. It's one bike share station for their employees, but we hope that's the start of a broader conversation with them around how bike share can serve some of their mobility needs, not only in Detroit, but helping them think about that globally too.
Sort of who's not here. In New York City and in Washington, D.C., you can hail a cab to go 2 blocks. And we don't have a very active or large cab service in Detroit, never have, and at least in my living years here. What is the usage of Lyft and Uber different in Detroit?
They can go onto a map, drop a pin. If somebody else has already dropped a pin, they can like the pin that's been dropped. And so we use both of those as different streams of feedback and figuring out where we'll ultimately locate the stations.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
There was a nice article in the Detroit News on Sunday talking about the success of MoGo. So Lisa is the founder and the director. These are the bright people we need in Detroit.
Sort of made a point to go to some of the places that we hadn't been talking to people in person a whole lot. I spent more time in Macomb County over the last 2 years than I had before, mostly because I wanted to hear directly from them about, why did you vote against transit? And I've run into people who have terrible commutes or who live with terrible isolation, who still believe that the money, quote unquote, that they would spend on transit just is not worth it. They're really afraid that they will be stuck paying for somebody else. That this is money that will go to people in Detroit. This is money that will go to people in Oakland County. And I don't feel like I win that argument a whole lot.
Around the transit side, True has been working for, as I've said, nearly 20 years on how do we help people understand the value of transit even if they don't use it. And we've, over the last year, been doing a Let's Talk Transit program where we go out to community groups, especially the suburban drivers, the people who haven't been involved in transit. And while it's hard to actually get in and get those presentations scheduled, when we actually take 15 or 20 minutes, 30 minutes to explain to people who it is that needs transit and what the benefits are and what's possible with the regional transit system, more than 80% of people are telling us that they are more likely to support it in the future. We just have to remember that for more than 60 years, this region has been very auto-focused, and we have 90% of people in this region don't use transit. And so it takes more than a soundbite. It takes more than one radio show to help people understand. But if we keep at it, when you actually take the time to talk to people, not everyone, but a lot of them do start to understand. We've got time for maybe 2 or 3 more comments, and in case we didn't get your email at the front or before, we definitely want to be able to keep in touch. But I'm going to give one final question or comment to Matt here.
And that's it back, shares it with our network. We really make changes moving forward, and so I hear a lot of interest in moving things forward. And I think 2 things are changing.
I would just make the suggestion that Ford Motor or General Motors, if they want to be part of the mobility aspect in the future, they might want to attend one of these meetings. And who knows? Shared ideas. There might be some synergy kind of thing going. But yeah, I think in the future, Ford and GM will probably attend and maybe be on the panel. That would be great.
We also get education wrong. We also get, you name it, wrong. And a lot of that is driven by the sense of hyper-local providence.
Whether it's your 73-year-old mom or others, to understand what's going on and how all these can work together. I also heard a great discussion of partnerships. I think that's a great key is how public and private, nonprofit, government, how we can all work together. There's some really new ways that we can look at tackling these important problems. We are definitely blessed. Thank you for recognizing Representative-elect Tate. And we also had Commissioner Jewel Ware was here earlier but had to step out. We have some great partners among elected officials who also want to hear those ideas of how we can work together. So thank you everyone for coming out. This is the start, not the end. Look forward to hearing more. Have a great night.
And that's the way it was, November 28th. Good meeting. Here's a nice woodcut of Detroit. I like they got the streets in there. A white pin kind of designates some kind of business or some kind of function in the junction. East Side has a deal there. Look at that. Block by block. Yeah, this is all about urban planning. I'm all over this. This is a good deal. But up Grand River, look at all that action. But then Grand River and Gratiot, I'm pretty sure that's like a 90-degree angle thing. All right, we're going to check out the building here. We're going to go up to the 5th floor. Just see what's going on. So Henry Ford Health System is up here. Maybe not much on the 4th, so I'm down to the 3rd. Auto Harvest Interest Groups. That's quite a few companies involved in this thing. Huh, I like that. Oh, well, Knight Foundation. Yeah. These guys are all about the arts and promoting the city. And why not? A rising tide raises all boats, right? But, yeah, if you have that good infrastructure and do that incubator kind of thing, you start getting the young folk started. Innovation. Diversity. Hey, Noel Night. This was the first time I was able to pick up one of the brochures about it, and they have a nice map. And this is in the Midtown area, and more activities, certainly. And that's a huge event. The city shines. All right, well, I stepped outside. Next Energy is just across the street. Ooh, it's a red light district a little bit in that corner of the building. But, yeah, the golden top of the Fisher Building. It's kind of like a landmark. If you're walking around, you get your bearings by looking where the Fisher Building is. Here are LED lights. This is a dual model. In Tech Neighborhoods, we mean business. All right, so art is everywhere, even under the rail line here. Then when you surface on the other side, there's an Amtrak station. I was checking out the service from Chicago to Detroit. Across the street, there's a castle. So if you got the munchies. So you got mass transit with the train there, and then look at this, the Q line. So we have a streetcar thing for, 3.1 or 3.2 miles. So this is the Baltimore station for the Q line, but the building, look at this. So they've done a lot of work here. Michigan Economic, Detroit Hardware Company. I'm not sure if they closed or not. Here, this bank has been repurposed. And Stevie Wonder Avenue. Okay, we'll check. We're pretty much on time. We're in sync. Shinola time, they're on their game. All right. General Motors. We'll take a look at some of these concrete reliefs. Corporation Laboratories. Repurposed now. The Michigan State Police have this portion in the back. Oh, train action. You could get here by scooter if you wanted to. All right, Northern Lights Lounge. I just happened to stumble across this, but it's because it's a red light district. That's what attracts my eye. Oh yeah, it's a bar. Oh yeah, there's a lot of fake news out there. Gotta be careful. I like the lighting in here. They have fantastic lighting. And little shuffleboard things. I was looking at the Metro Times. Midget wrestling. That would be an interesting video thing if I could ever pull that off. All right. So they have entertainment here at Northern Lights on Wednesday. They got straight jazz, no chaser, but like every night they got something going on. I didn't stay for any entertainment, but that's their website. But yeah, I had munchies at the meeting there. Had a little sandwich and so forth. But when I eat here, I've done that Dinty Moore thing. And the Northern Lights Club. I'll vouch for that one. And mac and cheese, that would be one in a pinch of, good stuff and stick to your ribs. Here's like a disco ball snowman. And that's a different kind of a tree. But again, the lighting. So they have the stages up here. It's a nice performance venue. And I have a couple of shows. Next week, I should have the Holiday Train lighting from Windsor. And then Noel night after that. Here, check out this train. Trains rock. But then I noticed this building when I first had parked and said, what's that all about? But it's going to be the new Detroit Pistons practice facility. It looks like it's a whole lot more than that, too. It looks like it'll have some office space and the like. So we'll have to see. And there's some Mogo bikes. Yeah, they've been around for 16 months. And they said, I just jotted some notes down. 237,000 rides for the Mogo. And they have 430 bikes at 44 stations. So that's about 10 bikes a station, if my math is good. But, yeah, bikes are a good way to get around. And then we got the scooters. We got to figure that one out. But get the rail cars going, the car companies together on this, the bus companies together. Wow, I had a nice nappy time there, didn't I? Okay. Well, no, that's the end of the tape. And we're just going to, next week, Well, I should just tell everybody happy holidays. Yeah, next week, holiday train with lights. Good night.